Hello everyone, here's a deck profile from YCS Hartford. Who are we here with?
My name is Jordan Gallacher. I got top 16 at YCS Hartford and I played Despia.
And why did you choose this deck?
I just think it's the best deck. Like I think like no deck without drawing non-engine, multiple non-engine even, can crack this deck's board. Whereas this deck can beat the mirror match board without playing a single non-engine card. It can beat the majority of boards without playing a single non-engine card. So you can draw a hand of 5-6 engine and just always beat the board no matter what. Except from like maybe post side when you're getting floodgated, that's like the only flaw with the deck. Without floodgates, this deck is just the most powerful. It just beats anything you want it to beat.
And did you try playing any other variants of this, like the Predaplants?
I tried the Predaplant version. I don't think it. I think it loses to disruption more than this deck does, and I just didn't feel like it was as powerful as this going second. It doesn't have like this. One of the main reasons this deck is so strong is like the patchwork engine into Guardian Chimera for going second, whereas like Guardian Chimera is a lot like kind of harder to access in that build. Even if you play the patchwork stuff in that deck, it's just not as good. And if you're playing stuff like Prosperity, Guardian Chimera doesn't do as much going second.
Okay, that's your list. How many cards total?
Sure. It's 45 cards, so the deck is almost the same as a friend Luke Parks, who also topped the event. Only 4 Despia topped the event, and 2 of them were us playing almost card for card lists. So we'll start with a list with 3 Albert. You don't need to explain that, it adds brand diffusion. 3 Tragedy. Some people play less, but I think 3 is like, it's really good in the grind. In the mirror match, you want more because it banishes from grave to reset your banishment. You can win you the mirror matches, and you just want to draw it because it just means you also have Aliber access. And if you use this to get Aliber before you use Brand Diffusion, it means you get to send Snow more often. In every game you get to send Snow, you get an extra interruption for free. 1 Ad-Lib, standard. Dramaturge, a lot of people don't play this as well, but the 3k body for OTKs and just general another interruption in some games, it comes up a lot. And then play the Lost package. So yeah, 1 Kit, 1 Mercurial, 1 Albion. We were playing more Albion for some times, but it's just really not worth the room. Like we're at 45 already, and that's just because we had so many cards we actually thought was necessary in the deck. So we just ended up cutting it back down to 1. This card was insane all the time. This card wasn't great honestly, but it's still good, and this just wins you so many games. I think you still have to play it, even though some of the cards it searches aren't that great. And then with 3 Albas, it's pretty standard nowadays. You just want to draw it. So if you get Ash, you have like plays. Spells, 3 Opening, 3 Brand Diffusion, 2 Red. So we only played 2 Red because we played Banishment in the main deck. It's insane how many mirror matches I played in Swiss who were not playing this card, main or side, mainly main, but like in the main deck it wins so many games. Even in non-mirror matches, any deck that plays a dark or a light, this card is just absurd. I think you have to main it. So that's Brand Spell Traps. And then the 1 Snow for the light target for your Albion. The card was crazy. And then we put the Allure package still. It's just draw power, gets you to the cards you want to see, triggers your Tragedy. The deck has a really high dark count, it just feels like it's worth it. And then the Thriper package, 3 Chain, 3 Patchwork, 2 Poly. You want to draw it, every hand without it feels weaker. Every hand going second without it is a lot weaker. So you just want to see one of these cards in every hand. And then this was the main reason we didn't have as much space in the deck as we'd like to, is we felt this was completely necessary. Not just for the mirror match game 1, but also because you want it in your deck both side as one of your only outs to debarrier. If you do not main this card, siding it and debarrier is just way too much for almost every matchup. So by having it in our main deck, it allowed us to side in 1 debarrier in every matchup and always have a blanket out to debarrier it. And I did get to debarrier, cross out debarrier 3 or 4 times during the weekend, which was really good. It's the main reason we play this card. It's obviously the best card in the mirror match. It wins, like the mirror matches I played, it was cracked. The Predaplant matchup I played, it was cracked. It's the single-handedly the reason I won. But the main reason we decided that it justified the spot in its main deck is its utility for debarrier game 2 and 3. And then the 1 Ash, just to go with the cross designator. I would like to play more of this, just because like 3 Ash is like the best hand trap. Although after this event, you can see Despia really didn't do that well in Top Cut, so maybe Ash is going to lose a little bit of power because it's really not that good against the Therion decks. It's okay against the Punk cards itself, but in general it's not great, and it's really not great against Sword Soul. But just for the crossout, and then the other hand trap I played was Imperm for crossout. I just wanted a second blanket hand trap that I felt most decks would be playing. And I felt this would be more popular than DD Crow, and it could also just be more damaging than DD Crow, whereas like if they Imperm Aliber, sometimes that could actually end your turn, so I just wanted it as an option. My friend Luke, who made top 32 with the same deck list, the only difference in our main decks is he played DD-Core instead of Imperm, just for his branded red, but I played Imperm instead. That's the only difference in the main. 3 droplets. This card was cracked. This is the card we swapped Super Poly out for. You'll notice we did not play Super Poly at all. Almost every branded deck I've seen is still playing it, but we did not feel like it was worth it because it is actually a lot weaker into all the Scythe decks, which everyone is doing now. That, like the Punk Therian decks that were scything you, Super Poly really isn't that good there. It's also not good against the Therion decks because they end on things that aren't Dark or Light, whereas this card was just cracked in those matchups. It means you couldn't get Scythe, and you could use it to get the Therions on board as well. It was definitely overperformed. And then the last card, the God card called by ban it. I'll say it because everyone says it in their profile now, but ban this card. Extra deck, 2 Mirror Jade, 2 Lubellion, and 3 Albion. It's pretty standard. The 3 of this came up all the time. Honestly, I wouldn't go back to 2 after playing 3 now. I use 3 all the time. Lubellion, the second one, came up once or twice, but it's not necessary. But the room didn't feel necessary anywhere else, so I thought that was fine. 1 Brigand for searching the Mercurier, came up quite a few times. 1 Titaniclad, never summoned it once, I sent it a few times to summon Albaz, but nothing special. If you're out to the AI towers, you can beat a 5k towers, but nothing bigger. 2 Masquerade, yeah, no double Masquerade, I did it a few times, it's a good backup plan. It's also just 2500 beater that can just puts a lot of pressure on your opponent, but 2 is pretty standard nowadays. Quertus, this card was insane. In the mirror match, when we knew it was a mirror, we were ending on the Quertus Mirror Jade board. Just because it plays around your opponent's Super Poly. They can't, if they Super Poly both your guys, you get to float, and your Aliber comes back. It just makes the Super Poly a whole lot weaker, especially if you have Banishment engraved. You just get the Banishment this back anyway. And if they didn't, obviously they can still Super Poly this plus one of their guys, but it just gives their Super Poly a whole lot less value just ending on this. And also just OTKs people so easily. It's one of the MVPs against Sword Soul and non-fusion decks.
And Borrowlands.
Yeah, Borrowland on my bubble match I used this to make a Borrowland 0. It can't die by battle, so you just hit it multiple times, they just died. Trichospelia, card's crazy. I don't think I needed more than 1 ever once though, so it's fine. And then 2 Guardian Chimera is pretty standard.
Second come up?
Second come up all the time, yeah. I summoned 2 quite a lot. Side deck, 3 Nib, and 3 Collector. We felt Sword Soul was going to be the most represented deck, which it was. I only played 1 Sword Soul. So this card only came in 1 matchup the entire tournament, which was weird. I really wish I played more Sword Soul. The match I played was the freest match all tournament. These cards just annihilate it. They don't respect Nib, because if they do respect Nib and make Baron, they lose. So they have to be greedy and summon Kicksing and try and draw multiple cards to try and beat you and draw their floodgates. So when they do that, they just auto lose to Nib. I didn't play a single Flunder, so this didn't come in, except from round 1 when I played against a Tri-Brigade player. But yeah, round 1 stuff. 3 Cosmic has my back row hit. This is the only other difference from me and Luke's list is he played a Duster and 2 Cosmic, but I played 3 just because I didn't want to draw a Duster when my opponent had anti-spell. That would make me want to leave. Yep, so with 3 of that. Insane. Best card in the mirror, best card against Sword Soul, best card against a lot of decks. Just cracked, plus side it in every game going second, at least 1, just for cross-out and D-barrier. As bad as that sounds to side a card just to cross-out it, it's just worth it. It just auto-wins you the game whenever you do it. And it happened quite a lot. And then Reboot for all the trap decks. And that's the list.
You bring in Reboot against every deck anyway.
Not every deck, to be honest. Crossout can have other utility against other decks, like it can still hit the Ash side and Imperm and stuff like that. But if my opponent was playing against Sword Soul, you can put this in because it can hit Blackout. Or against other decks that have searchable trap cards, you can put this in still. Yeah, I would. Not every matchup.
Okay, any final shoutouts or?
Yeah, shoutouts to everyone I went with, Luke, Vlad, and Raph, and then also shoutouts to Pac. He was our driver for like 2 days of the event. He's one of the nicest guys I've ever met. He's insane. Yeah, that's all.
Okay, congratulations.
Thank you.